Am I the asshole? I had my mother-in-law trespassed after she entered my home and fired my babysitter. I lost my wife, Anne, 34, just minutes after she gave birth to our first baby, Sammy. She had a difficult pregnancy, so I took an indefinite leave 3 months before she was due. Sammy's 4 months old now, and before I went back to work, I told my mother-in-law, Sandra, 56, about my plans and if she can recommend a nanny to take care of my daughter when I work. She offered to do it, nanny, that is, for free. I told her she's free to come by anytime during the day if she feels uncomfortable with a nanny looking after Sammy, but she insisted on doing it herself. So I said yes and gave her a copy of the house keys. Everything was fine for the first couple of weeks until I noticed that Sammy's not feeding as much. I asked Sandra about it and why Sammy's not feeding well. She said she's trying to breastfeed my daughter.
Wait, what? Mother-in-law?
Yeah. At first I thought she was joking. Then I realized she wasn't. She said Sammy needs to latch for a few minutes every day to activate her milk production. I almost lost it. I told her she cannot do that and she needs to stop. She said she will, but I caught her again when I walked in my daughter's room and she was forcing Sammy to latch. I confronted her and told her she's no longer my baby's nanny. I didn't ask for the key back as she is still welcome to come visit anytime. I asked for a 1-week leave from work to care for my daughter and find a nanny. I found one, but 2 days after, she never returned. I called her and she said my mother fired her the day before. I asked her to describe the woman and I was livid when I realized it was Sandra. She came into my house using her key and fired my nanny. I was about to call her when she showed up and said a convoluted story like how I hired an incompetent nanny, etc., etc. I told her to leave, but she refused and told me she's calling CPS because I'm endangering my child. We argued back and forth before I called the police and she was charged with trespassing. I know my mother-in-law is grieving the loss of her daughter. I am too. But she crossed the line when she disregarded my wishes. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are calling me ruthless, and I am now second-guessing myself. Am I the asshole?
Wow.
Nah. No. Poor grandma trying to do the right thing maybe, but you have to recognize when you're out of line. And I would flip shit if I found out my mother-in-law was trying to breastfeed my kid. There's just a line, and that's a line I can't get behind.
That's a line.
I literally just Googled it as we were kind of talking here, and I was like, can a 56-year-old woman even produce breast milk?
That's also my question. I know nothing about this, So
according to Women's Health Today, a woman who is postmenopausal can still produce milk as long as you have a functioning pituitary gland.
It's all about the prolactin. And so if you stimulate the nipples enough, that'll get the prolactin going. Yeah. And yeah.
Am I the asshole for describing my wife as fat to our young children?
Yes, 100%. Yes, you don't have to read anything else. Woo!
You wouldn't have to read. We could just go.
My wife, 41, and myself, 44 male, both work in education and believe in properly explaining things to our children. 4 female, 5 male. We have agreed to never use, quote, because I said so, reasoning with them. My wife is unfortunately around 3 stones overweight. Her weight has crept up gradually since having the kids, and I don't think she has even been aware of this gain until I gently raised the subject with her last year. She agreed she needs to remedy this. Since then, we have worked together to shift the excess weight, and I'm proud to say she's lost around 10 pounds. But she still has a lot of work to do to reach her target weight. She is best at sticking to her diet if there is no temptation around. So for Easter, I got her flowers instead of an egg. She seemed happy with this. Then, yesterday, my children were arguing over a missing Easter egg, each accusing the other of eating it. I knew instantly what had happened. I asked my wife to tell the children where the egg, which was quite big, had recently gone, and she admitted she had eaten it. My son, whose egg it was very upset and confused and asked his mom why she had eaten it. My wife replied that she would replace it, which would be impossible as it's now after Easter.
Because
it's on clearance.
Kids care.
No, it's on clearance. It'll be even cheaper.
I pointed out that she has not answered the question our son had asked. He was very upset and kept asking why she had stolen his egg. I felt it was unfair she hadn't properly answered this, as he was getting more distressed. My wife completely threw me under the bus here and said, quote, because I wanted a chocolate, but daddy didn't get me an egg. They already know the importance of healthy eating, so I explained that mommy was not wanting to eat too much sugar. several "but why" questions down the line, and I finally said, quote, "because mommy is fat and she needs to work on this by not eating sweeties."
Oh my God.
I used the word fat because my sister is fat and always says it is not a shameful thing and she prefers to be described this way. She says to not use the word implies there's something wrong with being fat. I probably was an asshole to presume my wife would feel the same way about this term, and I wonder if I should have said overweight instead. My wife hasn't spoken to me since this and has seemed very upset. I feel terrible for upsetting her, but I think she was wrong to have taken our little boy's Easter egg without asking, and wrong to have blamed me for her actions. I regret upsetting her and possibly using the wrong terminology, but I had run out of ways to explain to the children why I hadn't bought my wife an egg. But I do feel I might be an asshole for upsetting my wife.
Oh, you are,
an
bro.
asshole. Oh,
How about, you know what? I forgot.
How
It's
about-
my fault.
I thought your mom would really love flowers more.
Or I forgot. What?
Because he didn't want to be, he didn't want to take any responsibility.
No,
he wanted to be on her. She was responsible for eating the egg. Your mom's fat. She shouldn't have eaten your fucking egg. Am I the asshole for telling my dying son his dad is leaving me? I, 53 female, have a son, 26 male, with my soon-to-be ex-husband, 50 male. My dear son has a terminal illness and has transitioned from palliative care to hospice care. Needless to say, we're all devastated and have been hiding our separation from him. Unfortunately, the pressure of caring for our son and manipulation from a neighbor led me to a one night of indiscretion, and now my husband wants a divorce. He told me he wouldn't file until after our son passes away, and I was appreciative about this at first. But now I'm rethinking this and told him if he's not man enough to fight for the best thing that's ever happened to him, then I would tell our son that his dad is leaving me. My husband and our entire extended family are lining up and begging me not to do it. They said this news would devastate him in his final weeks and he doesn't have to find out. But it doesn't feel right to lie to him. He's a young man who should be treated with dignity while he's here. He deserves the truth and to know that his dad is giving up on our family. He doesn't need to be lied to and coddled like a child. I've already made up my mind, and that unless my husband agrees to counseling and to not file for divorce by tomorrow, I'm telling our son the truth so we can all have closure. It's his family too, and he should know that his dad is about to rip it apart.
Where is the accountability here?
There is none.
None.
There is absolutely none.
This is a narcissist. I mean, this sounds like a very narcissistic thing to do.
I know, and we really have tried not to throw that around. Like, we really evaluated how much we were saying it. Like, we try not to throw that around, but like this
I
is,
haven't said that word in a long time.
that's what I'm saying. Like, we've tried, we
okay.
really like not said it. And I think you are potentially right. Like, there is no insight into anyone but herself.
Mm-hmm.
He's willing to throw away the best thing that's ever happened to him. He's not willing to fight for us. Ma'am, you had an affair.
Well, exactly.
Am I the asshole for making my son shower at school?
Saves water. Come on.
My son is in the 6th grade, and showering is not a big deal to him anymore. To make matters worse, he has sports after school, which is at his school. So when I pick him up, he stinks. He will promise to shower, but doesn't do a good enough job. Yesterday, I went to pick him up and handed him a bag with shampoo, body wash, clean clothes, and deodorant. He asked me what that was for, and I said he's going to take a shower in the boys' locker room. There were a few older kids in there who shower. He refused, and I said he's not coming home until he does. He said he'd take one at home, and I said nope. I also told him to not bother calling his mom. He did shower and was fresh and clean, but had tears in his eyes. I told him when I dropped him off that he either showers at home or at school, and I'll always have a change bag for this with me. His mom says the whole thing is a waste of time. Edit, he can, but won't shower at home, and very well when he does. He's not being prevented from showering at home.
That guy's a fucking dick.
Too far.
Am I the asshole for not letting my girlfriend sleep with me in my bed? I, 22 male, share an apartment with my best friend Mike, 22 male, and Mike's girlfriend Daisy, 23 female. We only have 2 bedrooms. Daisy is a heavier lady. She prefers the term big boned. She also has sleep apnea. For these reasons, Daisy has her own bedroom. Mike and I share the other bedroom. I've been dating my girlfriend, Shandy, 25 female, for 4 months now. She was over at our place watching a movie with us last night and decided to spend the night. Shandy knows about our sleeping arrangements and doesn't have a problem with it, but she assumed that she'd sleep in the bed with me when she stayed over. I don't blame her for assuming this because this is the first time she spent the night, but there's only space for one double bed in me and Mike's bedroom, and he and I share it together. Mike has a bad back and is too tall to sleep on our couch in the living room, and it would be rude of me to ask him to give up his part of the bed for my guest. I'd sleep on the couch and let Shandy take my part of the bed, but I didn't think Mike would be comfortable with that, so I didn't offer. I told Shandy that she could sleep on the couch and I'd bring her a pillow and blankets. She asked if she could just sleep with me, and I explained to her why she couldn't. Shandy seemed fine with this, and we all went to bed normally. However, she left quickly this morning, and when I called and asked if everything was all right, she said she was a little disappointed we couldn't sleep together, and was upset that I chose Mike over her. This made me feel bad because it was never my intention to upset her, so I'm wondering if I'm the asshole for not finding a way to allow Shandy to sleep with me. Am I the asshole for holding my wedding at the same venue as my first husband's funeral?
That's so me. That's so some shit I would do.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get the context. Last summer, my first husband passed away after being in a car accident a month before. The doctors expected him to pull through, yet be paralyzed from the waist down. But he already had health problems, and the trauma from the accident ultimately prevailed. I and his parents organized a funeral at a spacious old Catholic cathedral. I kept thinking to myself the whole time, this place is too beautiful for a funeral. For some reason, it felt wrong having such a sad occasion there. I even remember wishing that I had married my first husband there instead of the outdoor wedding we had. Fast forward to early 2022. I reunited with an ex-boyfriend of mine from years before. We started dating again. And
it's always the ex. It's always the one they told you not to worry about.
And before we knew it, we were engaged. I've been criticized a lot for how fast I moved on, but I guess everyone heals differently. We started planning for the wedding in March. The wedding hasn't happened yet. It will be in May. And we decided that we'd have it at the same cathedral where my first husband's funeral was held. I am still in contact with my first husband's parents, and they were happy for me when I told them I was dating and when I got engaged. In a phone call, my first husband's mother asked about the wedding, so I said that they could come if they wanted to. She seemed a bit taken aback at first, so I totally thought I screwed up, but she then said she'd love to. Then I told her that it would be held at the same cathedral as my first husband's funeral. And ... She went off on me. I don't know how to explain what happened other than to just write the conversation down. Me. We will be marrying at the blank cathedral. Silence. Her. I just can't believe it. Believe what? Silence. I'm sorry. This is just appalling to me. Me. I want to have our wedding there in honor of first husband. I would have married him there if I knew about the place. Silence. Her. You're moving on too quickly. You need to slow down. Think of how first husband would feel. You can't replace him. You've moved on. You've moved on. Blank first husband's name hasn't moved on. He will never move on.
'Cause he's dead.
And I'm sure if he were alive, he'd want to. Me, I'm sorry. She hangs up the phone. I haven't spoken to her or her husband since. I'm still planning on having me and my fiance's wedding there, but it just puts a bad taste in my mouth knowing that my first husband's parents are against it. But after all, they aren't involved in the wedding anyways, so I don't see why they should have a say. I wish they'd at least support me because I've been to hell and back. I'm in a better place and they don't like to see me happy. But I also kind of feel selfish since they aren't. Am I the asshole?
definitely the asshole.
Yeah.
There's a million places you could have your wedding. And like, I understand her like thought process of like, I'm honoring, but I think if that's the way that you're thinking right now, then you're still in one of the fucking 5 stages of grief. You might still be in denial, babe.